right, welcome to the Florence Barleycorns for the Cooper Football Show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers. This is week 3, but it's also the first week of the regular season. It's time to get down to business, right? No more scrimmages. Ready for the home opener on Friday night, taking on Bardstown. We've got plenty for you tonight. Chat with Randy about last week's scrimmage at SK, then talk a little Bardstown and the season opener. Then we'll welcome a special guest, assuming he's retired now, so you have to hope that he makes it. That would be George Vogel, who spent more than 4 decades doing sports on local TV at WLWT, which is unheard of, News 5. 42 years at the same station. You won't find that in the future. Then, of course, we'll talk to the 4 captains. We'll talk to Austin Alexander and Isacc Brown, and then Mason Stanton and Alex Vogelpohl, and then we'll bring you back up and wrap things up. But welcome in again to Barleycorns. A reminder, this Friday night for the home opener, they've got the Friday football late night menu. They normally serve food until 11. They're going after 11 with a special limited edition menu. They probably won't promote it as just for Cooper. Anybody else wants to come in, they can too, but it's primarily for Cooper. So first and foremost, how we doing? Everything good?
Good.
Game opening week, regular season. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're excited. You know, you go all summer to get ready for this week, and we're finally here. So now it's just get in the business and see how Friday goes.
Well, let's talk about last Friday. You went over to Simon Kenton, and you did after a controlled scrimmage at Louisville Collegiate Academy. Last week you went for real. You did the varsity for 3 quarters, 1 quarter JV, 1 quarter freshman. So first and foremost, I'll let you tell me just your overall evaluation of how the team looked in that. You won 35-7 in 3 quarters. A scrimmage is a scrimmage, but how did you feel coming out of the first controlled scrimmage to last week doing it for real?
Well, the big thing we tell our guys all the time is some of the biggest improvement we'll make is between that first and second scrimmage. And, you know, after we went down Cal, we realized we had a lot of things we had to work on. And we really focused on that during the week. One of those was our tackling, and I felt like our tackling was a lot better against SK than it was against Cal. You know, we did some really good things against Cal. We did some really good things against SK, but we also have things that we got to work on, and we got stuff this week we have to improve on to get ready for Bardstown.
Well, let me throw out a couple highlights. I like to do that, and you can tell me if I missed anything. Cam O'Hara, typical Cam O'Hara night, I guess, 24 for 30, 330 yards. 4 TDs, 1 interception. I know Jaden Combs had a big night, 3 TD receptions. You had a big Keegan Mayer, 100 all-purpose yards, 100-plus, 70 yards on the ground, which is certainly something you like to see. Riker Campbell had a big game, caught a TD pass, but also had 13 tackles, 8 solo, 5 unassisted. Austin Alexander got into things with a couple sacks. Isacc Brown with some good defense. So you kind of spread it around a little bit. Are you happy to see those guys who you're going to count on naturally, and Isaiah Johnson 100 yards receiving as well? So you like to see your kind of big-name players, if you will, playing that way heading into the first game.
Yeah, I think the biggest, takeaway I took offensively was, we had 330 yards passing, and one of our top receivers in Austin Alexander had 2 catches. So, if we can get production, we can get the ball and kind of spread it around with all the other guys and still be able to be as successful as we were offensively. We're going to be pretty tough to stop. We had Jaden Combs, which kind of came with us mid-season last year. It took him a while to kind of get into the rotation. I don't think he ever really got real comfortable with what we were doing last year. Getting a summer under his belt where he's more comfortable with what we're doing and understand, our playbook more. He had a great game, and we're hoping, that continues for the rest of the year.
Well, let's talk about last year and Bardstown before we get into just kind of some of the semantics of week 1. So last year you go down there, it's the first time you've ever played them, and they're a pretty good program. I mean, last year they finished 8-5, got hot at the end, lost by a touchdown to Franklin County in the region final. They're Class 3A, but you're down there anytime you open on the road. I know that's always a little bit of a challenge. You probably didn't expect the challenge you got right out of the box, which was you find yourself down 14-0. Really all self-inflicted, a lot of bad snaps, and all of a sudden you're down a couple touchdowns. What were you thinking kicking off the year? And maybe you found out, we'll get to how you turned it around, but I guess in that game with the way you showed resiliency early as a team and wound up winning 35-14, what did you learn about your team that night that maybe helped carry you where you wound up last year?
That showed right away. In the years past, when we got down, we struggled with that adversity and fighting back. And And, in the years past, if we went down 14-0, our kids put their heads down and kind of packed it in a little bit. And when we got down 14-0, you could even tell on the sideline that no one had a panic in them. And our kids just continued to grind on what we wanted to do. As you said, it was self-inflicted. So no one on our team, including the coaching staff, really felt like they did anything to stop us. We were stopping ourselves. So we really felt like if we could just settle down and kind of get in a groove, we would be okay. And we started to play better. We hit a couple big plays. And I believe we scored like 3 or 4 touchdowns in 5 plays, or 3 touchdowns in 4 plays. So once we got rolling, we were fine. But it was second day of school. You could say a bunch of things. We just didn't come really focused and ready to go, and bit us in the butt early on.
Well, you mentioned those big plays. I know Cam O'Hara threw for 348 yards, 5 touchdowns, just 1 interception. And you look at the big plays. Austin Alexander, 2 TDs, 60 and 76 yards. Isaiah Johnson, 51 and 30 yards. When you're hitting teams with that big play capability, it makes it tough. I mean, you guys weren't demoralized, but they had to be demoralized. 28-14, you scored once in the third quarter, and that was the final score, 35-14. So, obviously, that was a good defensive effort and a good offensive response, if you will, to some early buffoonery. So now you look at this year, and they're back. I mean, they got 9 guys back on offense, 8 guys on defense from the starters from a year ago. Justin Grundy is a new coach, but he's been around there. So Ty Williams, their leading rusher, is no more. He graduated. So those are some good things. But they're inexperienced. You guys are experienced. So too is Bardstown.
Yeah, and we're expecting a great football game Friday. We know they're going to come in and they're going to be well prepared. They're very well coached. You can see that on film. They do a lot of good things. They got a lot of speed, and anytime you play a team with a lot of speed and athleticism, it worries you because any play they can take, for a touchdown, take to the house, and you can be in perfect position and you just take a wrong angle and it, you end up suffering it. So, we're going to have to play a really sound football game Friday. We're going to have to play well, and we're going to have to stay patient because things are not going to go perfect for us Friday night, and hopefully our kids can respond when we have some adversity against them this year like we did last year.
A couple other things. Reminder, 7:30 kickoff at Cooper High School, Bardstown, in the opener on Friday night. So let's talk about some things going in. Let's talk the health of your football team. I know are there some guys, nobody's ever 100% healthy, ever. Are you really, as a football team? But do you feel like that you're in pretty good shape entering, and are there some guys that, could be back Friday that have been out and or in the next couple weeks?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that we brought back slow. Colton Dean tore his ACL mid-season last year against Highlands, and he started coming back, and we brought him back gradually. And we could have probably rushed him a little bit and got him back for some of the scrimmage games, but we felt long-term it's going to be best for us to hold him out and bring him back slow. So, we're going to give him some reps Friday night. How many he's going to get, still to be seen, but we also know that this is for the long haul, so we don't want to rush these kids back when they're not quite ready, and we don't want, we want to bring them back slowly. Michael Mulvihill, who missed most of the regular season last year and came back in the playoffs and was an integral part for us making that nice run, has been out again injured this year, so we got him back. So we feel pretty good about where we're at. Going into those first 2 scrimmages, we knew we were a little light on the defensive line, and it showed. So we're hoping we can get those guys back, keep them healthy, and we feel like if we can shore up that D-line, we're going to be pretty good defensively again this year.
Number 73 in the program. That's probably the most you've ever had, if not at least close. 2 platoon. What's your philosophy there? Because I know naturally you're 5A, so you're among the larger classification of schools. So, does it help having greater numbers? But obviously, greater numbers are one thing. You got to have guys who can play and come in and do the job. But what's your philosophy now on 2 platooning and the 73 players? Does that help as well?
Yeah, we kind of made that change last year where we went to more of a platoon system. We're still not 100%. I still think you got to put your best players and your best athletes on the field as much as you can. But we're able to give those guys breaks a little bit, and we're able, that mid-range kid that needs the reps, on one side of the ball all the time, we're able to do that now. So those kids are getting better. So we got about 5 or 6 kids playing both sides of the ball right now. We have 2 that play significantly on both sides of the ball. The rest of the kids we kind of have as backups if we get some injuries and that. We want those guys to be ready that we can get them in. But for the most part, the more kids we can get on the field, the better off we're going to be, and the healthier, hopefully, it keeps us throughout the year because, they're not going to get tired down, and hopefully we can keep them healthy.
Let me ask you about a couple traditions that are of game week, and obviously this being the first one. First, my favorite event of the whole year are the spirit cards and the treat bags. I hope, even though I don't have any more kids, just because I'm doing this show, if I could get a treat bag dropped off at my house, I'd appreciate that. So I presume we have that again, right? And then, of course, the Thursday night, you can comment on that momentarily, because I know you probably – do you get into the treat bags before they go out?
Sometimes I take all the good stuff and leave the other stuff there.
I get it. More nutritional stuff for the guys. So what about, I know you started the pregame meals on Thursday with a guest speaker, and I know that seemed to go over really, really well. And I know a lot of schools have those type of traditions. Talk a little bit about that and what you feel the kids got out of that.
Yeah, one of the big reasons we did that was the kids hear from the coaches all the time, and you can only hear from Randy Borcher so many times before it goes in one ear and out the other. So getting a different perspective in there, every year we try to do something different. A couple years ago, we did community members. Another year we did, coaches or administrators and that from within the school. And this year we're going to try a new tradition that I think is going to go really well. We're bringing back former players, guys that's been within our program, whether it be from year one, the state championship team. And this week is kind of going to be pretty cool because Billy Prickett, who's now on our staff, so the kids know him, but they're going to get to see him in a different light too because he was a former player and he's going to be our first speaker and he'll do a tremendous job for us. For those who don't know, he's right there. So he's probably writing down his speech and getting ready. So for talking, I'm still waiting for my invitation, by the way. You mentioned community. I'm in the community. I've been in the media. I'm doing this. I just wonder when I'll be asked to maybe address the club. Well, I'm thinking you had 3 kids that came through the program, so maybe we'll get all 3 of those guys up speaking. You need me. You can bring me instead. Yeah, it's all good. I think we'll go with Lori. Yeah, that's fine. I'm good. But let me ask you about Friday night, and then we'll take a quick respite. Friday nights, I know you mentioned it. I mean, you're tired of seeing each other. I know scrimmages give you a little difference. But this is what you play for. And it's crazy, all the work that these kids and coaches put in all year long for a 10-game regular season, then hopefully a lengthy run in the postseason. But it really does turn it up. 7:30, getting ready for a big home crowd, coming off, making an appearance in the state final. How exciting is this week, and how cool is it on Friday night when you look across from the field house and the sideline and see everybody there and now it's for real? Yeah, and one of the coolest things, Friday night when we went to SK, we packed our stands. It looked almost like a Friday night. Usually when you go to scrimmage games, you have parents and that's about it, but our complete stands were full. So we got a great following here at Cooper, not only in football but within all of our sports. So, to be able to see the energy and the excitement that's going to come in that stadium is going to be really cool for our kids, and it's going to kick off the season hopefully on a high note. All right, we'll take a couple minutes and see if the GOAT has arrived, George Vogel, who spent 42 years with WLWT News 5, and we'll hear some stories. And he actually, and the Blitz 5 tailgate, was out at the very first Cooper football game against Route. We'll see if he remembers that. You get to be his age, you start to forget some things. But we'll talk to the GOAT next, and then we'll talk to the team captains and get ready for Friday night. A reminder, the Football Friday late night menu here after 11, normal menu till 11 this Friday for Cooper football. They're doing it just for Cooper football. We appreciate Brooke and everybody here at Barleycorn's. Reminder on X, formerly Twitter, at Cooper football. And you can check out Barleycorn's on Facebook. But it's Cooper hosting Bardstown, 7:30 kickoff on Friday night. And back with more of the Cooper football show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers in a couple minutes. Welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns. Here it's the Cooper Football Show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers. I'm Tom Gamble, your host, and we're going to try each and every week as much as we can to have a kind of a special guest, if you will. Some members of the media, community leaders, just old retired has-beens, anybody we can find who really don't have, honestly, anything to do and figured they'd just come out and maybe
get a free meal or something, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's what you're looking for, right?
That's what I'm looking for every week. Can I come back next week?
George Vogel, who spent 42 years, sports all at one place, WWT, News 5, and retired. How long has it been now? It's been a
year and some change. It was a year ago, end of last March.
All right.
March 23.
So first and foremost, what are you doing in your retirement?
Getting surgeries and going to doctors. I mean, seriously, think about it. I had kidney surgery, neck surgery, heart ablation, 2 cataract surgeries, and I got a back surgery coming up in November.
You mean hang on, you mean I need to tell a 40-plus year veteran to hold the mic a little closer?
Oh.
There you go. So people can hear you?
Okay. There we go.
I realize you had people doing that at Channel 5. Dude, this is us.
I'm out of practice, man.
You
it's
are,
been a year and a half.
I can see that
I'm
already.
out of practice.
So besides
I don't know
that,
what the heck I'm doing.
So
It's not like
are you
riding a
enjoying
bike.
retirement, though?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm getting to do a lot of things I couldn't do before. Grandkids, went up to Buckeye Lake and saw a bunch of relatives this weekend and just got back an hour ago, something like that. Flew back so I could see you.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
But no, it's been fun. It's you miss some aspects of it, no doubt about it. But I think in my case, after 40-some years, it was probably time. And, we've got Charlie and Olivia doing a great job, and I have a lot of faith in them because you want them to do well. You don't want to, you don't want to see the thing fall apart after you spent 40 years doing it. And I think they're in really, really good hands.
Well, I know one thing that you thoroughly enjoyed, as did I and do I, are high school sports, and notably high school football on Friday nights. And we did the Blitz 5 tailgate. I kind of helped you guys start that and run that many years ago. And it was fun. And if you remember that first game, Cooper, it was their second game. They actually started at Connor way back in 2008. And they hosted Ryle, and we were out there.
First home game.
Had a little delay at the beginning.
Yes.
Had some work on the field. But
right.
Which really – I don't think really needed to be done. It could have been the opponent. I don't know. But anyway, we had a lot of fun doing that. I mean, I know you enjoy the coach interviews. You always had the bands and the cheerleaders. And really, I think the Blitz 5, the Blitz brand was really kind of an animal all its own. And you guys really put time and effort and really enjoyed covering high schools.
Well, and it sounds stupid to say this, and people might think I'm full of it. And in some ways I am, but not about this. And that is, you go to World Series, All-Star games, Final Fours, NCAA tournaments, bowl games, all that stuff. The most fun we had was going out and covering high school football. And it could be just going out to practice and interacting with guys and talking to the kids and hearing what the coaches have to say. And every guy's different, every coach is different, every program's different. But in this area, they all have one thing in common, and that is a strive for excellence. I mean, when I first started, and you think about the number of really top-tier high school football programs in town, it wasn't that many. Now you look, and it's darn near every school takes pride in it and has success with it and strive to get better year after year after. I mean, I can't count the number of quality programs now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that way when we first started doing this expanded high school football coverage in the late 80s.
Well, I know we're in northern Kentucky, but I had an experience today that you'll appreciate. So I also organized the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown, and stay tuned, Cooper. You'll be in it a little bit later. But our first game Friday night is Moeller at Princeton. And I met today Pat Mancuso, the legendary Princeton coach, over at the high school because he's going to be our honorary captain Friday night. He is 95 years old.
Oh, man.
He'll be 96 in November, and I'm telling you, he looks like he could coach. I talked to him for about 20, 25 minutes. We recounted. I mean, this is a guy who coached 42 years, 37 at Princeton, won almost 300 games. Well, he did. No, he won 305, 3 state titles. I mean, 29 league championships, 21 in a row. It was he and Jerry Faust back in the day. But that's we were talking about that, how back in the day it was Princeton and Moeller, and now
right.
in Northern Kentucky there are so many good programs now. Northern Kentucky, Southeast Indiana.
Right.
I mean, they really started, though, the ascension of high school football in this region. They did.
Yeah, and Pat Mancuso, and it's great to hear he's doing well because, I remember he had a heart issue way back when, and he really took no pun intended, took it to heart and changed his diet, everything else, and that he's still doing well is a testament to that. And, yeah, you're right. Moeller Princeton was the big deal every year. Now, every Friday night we have several games that are kind of on that scale. I mean, you look at what the GCL has done, the GMC has done, what's happened over here in Northern Kentucky. There's great games every Friday night. And I live in Ludlow, and it's not unusual for me to just go down the hill and watch a game there on Friday night because their game last year against Holy Cross was a lot of fun to watch, and Ludlow had a big night that night. But I probably saw 2 or 3 of their games last year, and I just love going to the games still. And I try to make it a point every Friday night to pick one out and go to it.
Well, you mentioned that. I think Cooper is on its way to becoming that kind of an annual contender for, now in Class 5A. And you look over here, and Ryle, the 6A school, has been solid. Covenant Catholic, Beechwood, Highlands are really the ones that you hear. And now, Cooper, Highlands, Cooper, Ryle. Ryle's not in the same district, but Highlands is in its district with Cooper. And those are really good football games and expect it to be that way this year.
No doubt. And I was, don't hold this against me in this crowd. And what a nice crowd you have out here, too. This is fantastic. All these people out here and taking an interest in the program. Somehow I got, and you know a little bit about this, I got hoodwinked, and I'm kind of in the Fort Thomas Lions Club. Right. So they take care of the concession stand at the football games. Well, I was there for that Highlands Cooper game, and that was the wildest game, that playoff game. Was crazy. Yeah. It's like a great game, and then it's like, who wants this game? What's going on out there? It was back and forth. It was a lot of fun at the end, and I mean, I got to tell you, people were on pins and needles as that game came down to the wire, and I just love it. It was so much fun to see, and you're right. The quality of programs in each class now in Kentucky with 6 classes, we've got it covered around here.
George Vogel from News 5, he was there for 42 years, retired just over a year ago, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. You covered a lot of stuff. You saw a lot of great teams, great sports. If you had to give me 3 to 5 just really memorable, some of the most memorable games, seasons, teams that you saw, what would it be?
What, in high school football? Or
it could be anything.
Anything. 90 Reds was unbelievable. And I was really honked off and I shouldn't have been, because somebody's got to stay back. Everyone in the department can't go to Oakland. I'm like, they're not going to sweep anyway. They'll be back, right? Well, then they sweep. And they sweep in Oakland. I'm back here in Cincinnati. I'm like, man, why didn't I get to go? And then I walk outside, and at that point, WLWT was downtown on 9th Street. You walk out, and downtown's a party. And it went till, I was down there till about 5 a.m. I think I could have stayed till 5 p.m. the next day. It was nuts, and I'm like, I am so glad I did not miss this, because I was kind of too young to experience that in 75 and 76. But to experience it in 90, and then you're thinking, oh, wow, this is great. When will it happen again? I'm still waiting, but hopefully it does. So that was really cool, and that season was special. I would say this is one that's completely off the wall, and that was when Elder won the state championship up in Canton, and it started snowing flakes like this big. They got that lake effect snow during it. Well, I didn't dress for the occasion.
I remember that you were up there live, and it was coming. Yes.
Yeah, and I may have had a thin jacket. I had dress shoes on. I froze my butt off. And from that point, and then I get in the car to come back, and I came back with a competitor. He worked for 19 at the time, and I won't say his name, but it rhymes with Can Darrell. He was the reporter. So so I hop in the car with Dan to get back to Cincinnati because my photographer wanted to stay, and we're driving in the snowstorm, and there's drifts on I forget what interstate that is. It comes down out of Canton, but we're driving on it. He's going like 70 miles an hour. I can't see 6 feet in front of the car, and I'm in the back white knuckle. I'm like, Dan, slow down. No, I got it. He didn't wreck. We got back okay, but my God, I'll never forget that whole night. And the next time I went to Canton, it was like I was going to Siberia. I had the 60 below socks, the hunting socks, the insulated boots, the gloves that you go ice fishing
in. You learned your lesson.
Oh my God. From that point on, I never went anywhere cold weather. without all that gear because I paid the price that night.
Obviously, you interview tons of people. You get to see personalities and talk with them. Who are some of the most memorable, one way or the other, personalities that you covered over the years?
Well, it's weird because you think about that when you're done, and a lot of it is you remember the ones you did early in your career. It just had more of an impact because, quite honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. And I had about an hour sit down with Paul Brown down at Riverfront Stadium. That was amazing. He's telling me stuff that happened in the 20s and 30s in high school sports in Ohio, and you know, Jesse Owens when he was a high school athlete, and Paul Brown when he was a high school. I didn't realize he won a state high jump title. Yeah. Paul Brown. So it was just that was one that always stuck with me. But there's a million of them, and there was so much fun along the way. And you know, it didn't always go well. Sometimes you honk somebody off, right? But for the most part, people are people, and you. I mean, I couldn't ask for any more than what I got out of my 42 years doing that.
Final question for you. Obviously, I know you still pay attention, though you're thrilled to be out. I think anybody who retires gets that. But how much has it changed? How different is it today? What's the good of today? And be honest. I mean, I know the TV business is so different. I mean, it's and I would suggest if you were getting into it, you know, people ask me, and Richard Skinner, who was here last week, and we laugh, and like somebody asked me about being in the media, I said, get out. They're young.
I get it.
Change your major. Get out. Do something different.
I get it, and it's going to well, you see how it is. A lot of it's going to the leagues. You know, all the leagues have their own website with their own reporting staff and their own people they hire. You know, ESPN's still cooking along pretty good. The locals, maybe not so much. I mean, if you look at our department, and back then, we did have the Reds games when I started. We had the Bengals on NBC, and we probably had 7, 8 guys in our department. They may have 3 now. Yeah. 3. And so it's a lot tougher. You can't do as much as what you did then. And if you see the decline of print, which you all know all too well,
yep.
I fear that's where we're going with local television news is down that same path. It's finally catching up to television like it did print like 15 years ago. And they're doing everything they can to make it work. And that's the online, the websites, the apps, all that stuff. But honest to God, if you ask me to say where it's going to be in 10 years, I have no clue. I have no clue.
Nor do you have to care.
No, but I do. I mean, I still, and I'll say we, when I talk about the whole television news business, the local news business, I still care about it, and it's still a lot of fun, and it hurts me to think that maybe it won't be the same for these young people, because I kind of caught the tail end of the real glory years where local television, you know, WLWT was doing big-time wrestling, Midwestern Hayride, Bronze Show, all that stuff. All that live programming was awesome, and I saw that go away, and then it went more syndication, all that. We had a lot of fun back then, and it remained fun to I would say the bitter end until I retired, but I'm afraid it's just not going to be there for these folks, and that saddens me because it was so much fun.
Well, I appreciate you taking time. We'll see you. We'll get you to a Cooper game this year.
Yeah.
You got Friday night. Yep. We'll get you to one. But going to talk to the captains. Give it up for George Vogel.
Thank
42
you,
years. News 5. That's quite a run. Yeah, he started when he was 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a little confused when you said, now don't walk in front of the camera. I mean, for a guy, he can't hold his mic right. He's going to cut in front of the camera here. And he was on television, right? Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, because you were starting that way. Right. See, there you go. That's perfect. There you go. All right. When we continue, Austin Alexander, Isacc Brown, 2 of our 4 captains. We'll talk to them. And then we'll welcome up Mason Stanton and Alex Vogelpohl in just a couple minutes. We'll talk some Cooper football, find out what these guys think about the upcoming season. Cooper, Bardstown, 7:30 Friday night. It's the Cooper Football Show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers from the Florence Barleycorn. All right, welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns. It's the Cooper Football Show as we get ready for the regular season opener, and Randy Borchers, the Jaguars coach, will join me. But first, got to talk to four. We'll go two at a time because we, frankly, don't have enough mics for four at once. But it's my pleasure to welcome in two of the four captains, Austin Alexander and Isacc Brown. They know each other. They're cousins. They like each other. They say that anyway, so we're about to find out. So, Austin, I'll start with you. Obviously, you've had a great career to this point. You get to the state final last year. What for you, what is your personal goals? What are they heading into your senior season?
Getting there last year, like I've said on an interview before, it was like blood in the water, because before then I didn't really know, what a playoff run, really looked like. So having the opportunity to get there, it was a fun opportunity. But going into this year, it's, definitely looking to get to the state championship, get back there and win it this time. Build up a legacy here, finishing off with the state championship will be such a blessing. And that's something that, I'm looking forward to, trying to get at, but really taking it day by day, just trying to get better every day is what we're going to do.
Now, Isaac, you really didn't kind of come into your own till last year, right? I mean, you kind of as a junior kind of burst onto the scene. Now you're getting some D1 looks, which is a credit to you. So talk for you about last year. I mean, here all of a sudden you're the first year starting and you wind up helping this team get to the state final. What are your goals besides the obvious? Everybody wants to win a state championship, right? But what did you learn last year, and what will you take from that into this year?
Last year I really learned how to be a leader. Like on the defense, I really learned how to step up and lead, because I've always been playing basketball my whole life. So leading in basketball is different than leading in football. So I really started to understand how to lead a team and to be good at what I do, and then help everybody else do what they do as well. So I really learned that last year, and that helped me out a ton. Last year it was really crazy. I had a good scrimmage, and I had a good first few games, and then from then everything started clicking. All my coaches, I had so much trust in my coaches, and from then it just really started to take off. So it was really a blessing.
You mentioned basketball. I want to ask both of you guys, because both of you played. What for each of you? Also, I'll start with you then, Isaac. What has basketball done? How has that helped you, do you think, become a better football player?
Yeah, so, not only just the general, athleticism you gain in basketball, jumping, even, catching basketballs, that kind of aspect, helping for catching jump balls or, making catches, whatever, offensively. Not only that, but then also getting to play for Coach Sullivan not only increased, my leadership skills, but my discipline and my drive as well. I mean, he's just such a great coach, and he just, puts that drive in his players. So, past the game of basketball, just getting to play in the Cooper basketball program has just, helped me increase just overall as an athlete.
How about for you, from the standpoint of obviously helping you become such a good football player in a short time? How much of that, what did basketball do to contribute to that?
Basketball really showed me what a true brotherhood is. I've been on teams and I've been a part of different teams and done different things with people, but basketball and Coach Shelley, he really showed me what it's like to be brothers, on the court, off the court. It's cool to be cool with somebody on the court, but when you get off the court, you don't want to talk to them. But Coach Shelley showed me how in all aspects you have to be with them on the court, off the court, at their lowest, at their highest, and he really showed me what it means to be a brotherhood, and that program, I hold that dear to me, because that showed me how to be a leader and grow up and mature as a man, not just a basketball player or a football player.
Also, I want to ask you, and I know you're not a personal accolades kind of guy, but you're in the ESPN Top 300, the first player from Cooper to be in that. You've obviously been heralded since you were a freshman. Your uncle, Sean Alexander, who obviously was a tremendous high school, college, NFL player. So what influence has Sean Alexander had on you, watching him and obviously talking to him? You mentioned being your senior year, he might be able to come back and see you play. You've committed to North Carolina to play for Mac Brown, who knows a thing or two about championships. But what about that? How do you, because you're a team guy. I know anybody I've ever talked to said he's a really good guy and he's not about himself. How have you managed, because there's let's be honest, a lot of selfishness today in athletics. How have you managed to be such a good team guy?
Yeah, just putting my faith in Jesus Christ. I'm not really worried about, what achievements I'm getting, winning different things, knowing that I'm doing it for my Lord and Savior is what keeps me, down to earth and sane because, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't really matter what anyone says about me. I'm, top 300, whatever. As long as I'm just, doing everything with excellence, because that's what the Lord tells us to do, then I'm going to be all right. So that's just what I lean on.
You hear people talk about why they committed to a place, and I saw an interview with you where you pointed out the bonding with the team chaplain at UNC. You don't hear that very often from kids getting ready to go into college, right? But that did happen to you, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, just I wanted to give that decision to the Lord, and trying to figure out where to go. I just felt the Holy Spirit coming off of Mitch Mason, the chaplain there, and I knew that's where God wanted me to go, and that's that's where I'm gonna be attending my next 3 to 4 years.
So let me ask you, not only playing for Cooper, but also playing for Dad, right? Yeah. I mean, and your dad, was a very good player of himself, obviously, and has done a really good job. He's a co-offensive coordinator and assistant head coach. What's it like playing for Dad? I mean, I know that. Do you guys? So tell me what it's like playing for him, and then tell me when you guys go home. Is it football talk, or do you talk about other stuff?
So we talk about a lot of other stuff. That's my guy, really. So like as a kid, he was at Boone when I was a kid. So like I grew up. Not necessarily in the locker room, but I was always around that, and I was always around football. And you can ask him, even when I was a little kid, when I didn't play, I love throwing football. I love being around it, and he's trying to really planted that seed in me to where, like, if you don't like basketball, if you want to try something else, football is always an option, and he'll be there for me. So playing for him is really special. These 4 years he's been coaching at Cooper, and I was one of the reasons that he came to Cooper. So it's been really special. Like I'm able to bond with him. I'm able to enjoy these moments with him because you don't always have these moments. So playing for your dad is really something I'm extremely grateful for. Like seeing him at halftime and like talking to him on the field, it's great. I love it.
Final question for both of you guys. The teammates chose you guys as captains, and obviously Mason and Alex, I'll talk to them as well. What did that mean? I mean, because naturally it's one thing to win an accolade or to earn this, but when your peers, when the people that you suit up with every Friday night have selected you guys, what did that mean, and how serious do you take the role as that of being a team captain?
Yeah, it means a lot to me. Just knowing that these guys that I'm working hard with, and that I'm trying to work hard for. Knowing that they're seeing that, and they put their trust in me to lead them to our high goals this year. It means a lot, and just makes me want to work harder. Makes me want to continue to keep pushing the team, keep working hard because we all have these goals, and we just want to keep on working. And I know the captains with me. I also pick them, and I just know they're also having the same mindset as me. So just knowing that I have these guys around me is just such a blessing, and allows us to keep on moving.
Isaac, how about you?
To me, it means a ton. Freshman year, I was around this program. Sophomore year, I was around. Like all these years, I've been around the program, and I see how special it is to be a part of this program, and just to be a captain of the program. Like if you would have told me I was going to be a captain of the Cooper High School football program, like 3 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. Like it's super crazy, and people always say like different things about Cooper, but this program really has a lot of history, and it's prestigious in this area. And to me, to be able to be a captain and be a leader of this team, it means a lot.
Well, I got to be honest with you. You won't find two more impressive guys than these two, right? Austin Alexander, Isacc Brown. They don't know this yet, but they're going to be asked to come back here during some of the weeks of the regular season. But best of luck to you guys Friday night and obviously the rest of the year. We hope to see you back here soon, and hope that this show goes on as long as you guys are playing. So not that there's any pressure on you guys, but it'd be nice to be doing one of these early in December, right? So,
yes, sir.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll welcome up Mason and Alex, but you two guys, great to see you. Austin, Isaac, two impressive guys right there, two members, captains of the Cooper High School football team. We'll be back in a couple minutes, talk to Mason Stanton and Alex Vogelpohl. All right, the Cooper Football Show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers and others moves along here on this Monday night. Don't forget Cooper Bardstown. The regular season for real gets underway Friday night. 7:30 is kickoff. Reminder, 7:30. Cooper kicks off 30 minutes later. So we've got the remaining two captains here, Alex Vogelpohl, Mason Stanton. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It doesn't matter. I'll start with you, Mason. So I know you guys, I've been talking to some people in the Cooper program, and everybody I talked to said these two guys are among the hardest working guys that we have. So have you always been that way? Is that something that you've been that way your whole life, your whole career, and would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I've been going to train at different places, starting when I was 7 years old, just a couple years into football. But I've always worked really hard, not just in football. So we obviously have our off-season training and everything with the team. But outside of that, I go to D1. I train with Charles Johnson. So I definitely like to work hard and get my work in, not just in football, but outside as well.
Alex, how about you? Has that always been your mantra? Have you always been kind of a guy who wants it? And I know that I've been told that you guys are leaders obviously that's why you're captains, but I mean, has that been the way you've been your whole life too?
Yeah, for sure, and especially since I started freshman year, so I had to work a little bit extra harder and kind of grind a little bit more than others, and it definitely helped, especially being behind like Jack Lonerker. He was definitely hard to start over, so I had to put a little bit extra work in, and then over this winter we started going to Neville's, which really started to help. And something like he said, D1, we started really picking up the work and started really helping.
Let me ask both of you guys. Naturally, you're selected by your teammates, and what does that mean? I mean, I think everybody always aspires to be a leader, and you want to be recognized. What does it mean? Start with you, Mason. What did it mean when you found out that you were selected by your peers to be one of the captains?
Honestly, it's really special, not just because like that I'm a captain and I'm a leader and those guys look up to me, but I've been there for 4 years now. So as a freshman, I was moved up to varsity as well. So just seeing those guys that I looked up to who were captains, and now that I'm a captain as well, just thinking about that, it's just really special to me. So I know guys are looking up to me and I'm a leader. Just like I looked up to them. So
well, I want to ask you about that. What did you learn from when you weren't a captain, when you were younger? You mentioned as a freshman and a sophomore. When you saw previous players that were captains and be leaders, do you feel like you took some of their attributes and are putting those into effect this year for you?
Most definitely. Watching guys like Drew Worth and Eli White and Jack Lonerker and just different things like that. So I saw the work they put in, and I saw how they led the team with a lot of pride, and it definitely paid off for me, and I got to experience that, and now I'm relaying that back onto the team as well.
Coaches tell me that you're somebody who really likes to see others do well. So what did it mean when you were selected as a captain, and talk a little bit about that, just that part of you that wants to see everybody else do so well?
Yeah, for sure. I love seeing all my teammates succeed and stuff like that. But last year it really started to pick up my leadership since I wasn't like seeing as much field due to the linebackers. But it really helped that my leadership started then, so I could really like pick up on it over the winter and started with workouts. And it's really good to see like all my teammates, even the younger ones, starting to pick up the shifts. Like Roman Combs starting to play as a sophomore, starting corner. It's good to see all of us starting to like pick up things and starting to go with that.
I'm going to stay with you. You're obviously primarily on the defense. What's it like trying to cover these guys and for the Cooper defense to stop the Cooper offense in practices? Do you ever just look across and think of how fortunate this team is to have so many guys who are so talented on offense?
Yeah, it's definitely really good for our big weeks when we go against the really good teams like Isaiah Johnson and Keegan Mara, running back, and Cam. It's definitely hard to cover them, but it's giving us a really good look for that week. So it really helps just having them there and kind of giving their full effort, even for like the scout team, even though they're not the scout players, but the scout team, just to help us overall. And it's made us all better for sure.
Now, you played 4 different positions on both sides of the ball. How good can this all – I mean, I know it's been very good last year and the numbers are staggering, but can this offense get even better? And do you ever just kind of think – and you got to remember moments like this because I don't think you'll find many teams with this many weapons on offense.
No, definitely offensively we're pretty stacked. Receivers, running backs, I mean, we got a great quarterback. When you look at some of the guys who aren't starting that are, say, backup running back, backup receivers, they could go on different teams around here and probably be receiver 1, RB1, different things like that. So just looking at that, it makes me realize how fortunate we are to have these athletes around us, and that really benefits our offense a lot.
Let me ask each of you a final question. I know, Mason, you had the big interception that kind of sealed the deal in Fort Thomas for the playoff win over Highlands. You made it to the state final. I know, talking with everyone, coaches, players, you guys feel like you coulda, shoulda, woulda against Bowling Green. There were a lot of self-inflicted wounds in that game. What will it take for this team, in your opinion, to have a successful regular season and make the postseason run and take it one more step this year?
We're definitely going to need a lot of leadership, but not only that, we're going to have to keep excelling offensively. Offensively, we're pretty strong, and I think we can do our thing offensively. But defensively is really where if we buckle down defensively and continue like we did last year, where we were pretty tough. If we can continue to do that and our guys just build around us, I think we can beat pretty much anybody in the state, to be honest.
Well, let me ask you, and I'll keep it on the defensive side of the football, but knowing that you've got such a powerful offense that can put the points up, what does the defense need to do this year to take that one final step?
I think our biggest thing is definitely staying healthy. We have a lot of good players, and just like losing one of them is just a big part to our defense. Like Mike, he's been going through a lot of injuries, which has been holding us back to our full potential. But we just overall are really sound, and we're going very smooth overall. And I think staying mentally strong over the long season, but it is a pretty long season, just physically.
All right, well, guys, I certainly enjoyed the conversation. Let's hear it for Mason Stanton, Alex Vogelpohl, some very impressive captains for the Cooper football program, and want to wish them best of luck Friday and all season long. I'll welcome back Coach Borchers for a final segment. We'll get everybody ready for Friday night, but thanks, guys, and best of luck to Austin, Isaac, Alex, and Mason. Thanks for coming up, and good luck Friday night. So the Cooper Football Show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers. One final segment. We'll get everybody ready for Friday night when we continue right here from the Florence Barleycorn. All right, welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns, the Cooper Football Show with Jaguars coach Randy Borchers. You better step your game up. You might, honestly, if you need to miss a week, we have some ample replacements. I'm just saying.
Pretty impressive, wasn't it?
You think? Maybe they could give some of the, pregame, halftime. I don't know. What do you think?
I say we try it this week and see how it goes.
Well, maybe we'll start with you, and then if things don't go the way you want them to. But anyway, we'll talk. Very impressive. And it's easy to see why your program is where it is today. Those guys are really impressive. And I think, anytime you're chosen by your teammates, anything you receive from your peers in any walk of life means more than anything else, because they truly are respecting and saying that you represent and emulate everything that you want that team to be. What does it mean to you as a coach to have such impressive captains like that? Because there are times when, you mentioned it earlier, kids listen to coaches and yada, yada, right? It's like when you talk to your dog. Do they really know what you're saying? Probably not at some point. But when you can have a captain who can get in somebody's face on the sideline, in the locker room, and dictate, we're going to do things a certain way, sometimes it can even mean even more.
Well, that's kind of twofold question you asked. The first part is obviously having kids that have such a good heartbeat of this team. So, when things aren't going well or we have a bad practice, I can always get with those guys after practice and say, what's going on?
Sure.
Do we need to change something up, or is something going on outside that we need to know about? So you truly get a good heartbeat because they have a good feel with these kids. And the best part is it's just not the starters. It's all the way down from player 1 to player 73. Those 4 guys really, they take in all 73 of our guys, and that's something special because you don't see that much, especially in high school. And I think the second part of it is we've always said our best football teams are when I don't have to be that leader, when we can kind of turn this program over to those kids and let them be the leaders, kind of let them kind of run things and run the kind of attitude of the team and that. And these guys do a tremendous job of it. So it makes my job, our coaches' jobs, a lot easier because there's sometimes when you have teams that you don't have great leaders, you're spending more time trying to figure out how to get the kids going than you are trying to figure out how to game plan and scheme.
I got a question from the audience for you that was asking about your brother Mike, who has been named to a prestigious, the Kentucky board, right? The education board, which is he's retired as the superintendent of Ludlow, and this person wanted to know and did great things that are still in the works even at Ludlow, even since he is retired. But the red turf, which people thought he was nuts, looks incredible. That, done a lot of different things down there with this. What has he meant to you? What has your brother Mike meant to you through the years?
I think one of the big reasons I'm in coaching right now is because of him. He started out at Ludlow actually when I was playing. So he coached against me. He actually coached me when I was in high school. And then he started coaching down there. And when I first got into college, my mindset wasn't to be a coach or a teacher. I was looking in the business world and that. And he asked me to come down a couple days and just kind of help out with the program and kind of really scout for them and do some different things. And once I got into coaching and I got down there and I started doing it, I loved doing it. So, without him and kind of being an inspiration and kind of taking me underneath his wings, I most probably wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
All right, so let's talk, and I would agree. Mike's a good man and has done a hell of a job at Ludlow, and now hopefully can fix education in the state. We'll hold him to that.
I still have more wins than he does.
All right.
When you have 0, it's not very hard
to
get more.
Well,
so
that took, what, a game?
Yep.
Okay, there you
First
go.
game, I had 100%. He had a 0%, so I should have quit after the first game coaching.
So Friday night, 7:30, it starts for real. Bardstown, home game, excitement in Union. It's Brad and his band will be there, Katie and the cheerleaders, and it should be a fun atmosphere coming off of last year. It's the tailgate for those. You guys have an outstanding golf outing that raises a lot of money for the football program, and it's kind of the football golf outing sponsor tailgate. Shane Beckett helps put that together, but should be a fun night. For it to be even more fun would be a W, obviously. As you look at Bardstown, your team on Friday night, tell me what Cooper needs to do to be 1-0, and we talk about a victory next Monday.
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of game plan we have all the time. We have to limit the big play. We're playing a team that, from what we've seen on film, they're a big play team. I feel like if we can force them to put long drives together, they're going to make mistakes, which is very common of all high school teams. And that's kind of been our philosophy throughout the years that I've been at Cooper or coached all together, is force teams to put drives together, don't give up the big play. And when you play really athletic teams, forcing them to put drives together, forcing them to be disciplined, if we can do that, I think we stand a pretty good chance. And then offensively, you look at Simon Kenton the other night, there was 3 drives that we didn't score. In all 3 of those drives, we stopped ourselves. We had a bad snap. We had 2 holding penalties. We had a couple drops in 1 drive. So if we can just limit that, stay in front of the chains, and be patient offensively, I feel like we got a pretty good shot to be in the ballgame at the end.
All right. Well, there you have it. We expect to see everybody out Friday night, 7:30 kickoff. Cooper hosting Bardstown. The regular season gets underway. And don't forget the Friday football late night menu right here. Regular menu till 11, after 11, a limited menu for Cooper fans and others if they want to come in. So thanks to Brooke and everybody, Brandy and Sandy and everybody here at the Florence Barleycorn.